Welcome to Rubber Duck Engineering.
Nice to see you, Dr. Barth.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
I'm pretty good. A little underslept, maybe a lot underslept, but, such is par for the course.
I saw this video this week of this person in like a tuxedo sliding down a frozen like street, and he was eating something, and then halfway down the street, his like sunglasses fell from his forehead onto his eyes. It was,
and that was victory.
That was my inspiration for this opening streak.
I see.
I don't think I quite pulled it off to the same level that he did, but
I do think this year is going to be the year of everyone wearing their tuxedos while tobogganing or who knows what, because we've been cooped up for the last year.
You sort of understand where like the Roaring '20s came from, right?
Oh, totally. So hello all, welcome to Rubber Duck Engineering, as Dr. Barth said. Tonight, besides making jokes about the Roaring '20s, we're going to work on some more of our silly Pangram game Flutter web project.
I think our dream is to make a URL so you can give somebody a link to Pangram, to your Pangram, and they can, I don't know, interact with you in some fun social way or something.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I share this dream. I wish for this dream to come true. So, shall we head to the code machine? I realized I didn't have the code machine fully set up. So,
yeah,
maybe I need to do that.
Yes, I think the basic idea is to encode some information in the URL so that someone can then take the URL of their game and like tweet about it or something. Like one of the ideas we talked about in the green room before the show was maybe your current score could be part of the URL, and then your friend, when they click on the link, could then try to like beat your score or something like that.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential that we unlock once we have a URL. Like I would just love to be able to, like one of the things that's missing for me is I wish I could have a common set. Like I wish like you and I could work on the same Pangram, and not necessarily like I directly share it to you, but even just like if there was a new one every day or something like that, right? Which should be relatively straightforward to write.
Yeah, I actually tried to do this with my wife's family. We ended up taking the Zoom and aiming it at my screen so they could see the Pangram, and then we tried to do it together. But it's clearly not the right way.
Yeah, I think we were hacking around the problem a little bit there. So, shall we?
Let's do it.
Whoops. Which code machine button did I miss?
The big red one.
Oh, the big red one. That's the code machine button. Okay. So I don't have it running. This is literally the same Visual Studio session from a week ago. I don't think anything on the Pangram by myself. I think I was busy this weekend. But
that's cool. You did so much last week. It was like out of control.
I made up for this week. Another fun thing we were going to do is we were going to make the hexagon buttons prettier, making them more like buttons. There's also this new feature in Flutter where it does like URL. Let's see, Flutter URL service or something like that. I remember I looked into this very briefly.
Like I was doing a little bit with the URL already, right? Because when you had some like graphs or something built in that you were triggering off the URL.
So we can change from these ones, to these ones. But this is later. Like we need to just have the URLs work.
Okay.
And have them do something. All right. So here it is. This is what we have going so far. And I think the first thing to do is to just put the board ID up here.
Okay. Do we have an identifier for the board, or is that a thing we need to create in some way?
We don't, but it'd be very easy to make one. Board Dart. Yeah, we do not. Oh, we do. I mean, we could obviously change this. But here's a board ID.
Oh, I see. Should we try to put that in the URL, see what it looks like?
Yeah.
But then, do we have a way of then, if suppose somebody follows a link to that ID, can we then look that up in the server? I guess we have enough. Oh, we have the guide words in the index JSON, so we can find it.
Yeah, I definitely designed the whole manifest system with that in mind.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I don't think I ever implemented that, but that should be straightforward to implement. But I think that's like where the journey starts here. So the thing that I don't actually know how to do, because I definitely don't know Navigator 2, and I never worked on the Navigator code, but you might have. I'm not entirely sure how we set this up. So like this would be like next board or something?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should start with the documentation. Maybe the documentation will point us in the right direction. Is Navigator 2 the new hotness?
Navigator is just the new hotness. Yeah, here we go. Although the community has told us, understandably, that the amount of Navigator 2 that we have shipped so far is too complicated. Navigator 2's job was to give you more control. And it appears to have succeeded in doing that, but the community has also told us that they wanted more control plus a nicer like porcelain around it, to use Git's terminology.
This sounds like a second system, like classic situation.
Yeah, so I know that there are top engineers on it, but. Okay, new Navigator and API, not breaking changes, and new declarative, push and pop multiple pages. Okay, great. So maybe we just keep using Navigator, because I don't know that we need any like fancy new Navigator too.
I see. I mean, the way we've done this with the old Navigator is when we go to a new board, we would push a new route whose name was the ID of the board.
Yes, I remember something like that. I'm getting a little bit of crackle, so I'm going to switch here. Yeah, Navigator push and Navigator pop. But do we actually want to push, or do we want to like replace?
We probably want to just replace.
Let's see what Navigator says. Flutter Navigator. Show me the APIs. Use name Navigator routes. Sure.
Well, we don't want to really name them because we don't have like a list of all of them.
I see.
But we can. I guess maybe we do want to name them, but then we don't want them to be static.
Custom routes. Initial routes. Well, I liked where this was going, right? So this example of boards 1, like that's exactly what we're doing, right? So how do we do book 0? Push. Context, yeah. See, named routes may be what we have. On generate routes. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go. On generate routes. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the on generate routes is going to be a callback that's called when the navigator receives a route that it doesn't know what to do with, and then we're supposed to generate the page for it in some way.
Sorry, I'm back. You were saying?
Is on generate routes, is that on the navigator? Where do we find these things? Because I guess we have material app to work with. Is that going to help us? Oh, look at this!
It's like material app right here.
I see. So it has like an on generate route.
Yeah, like I think we could just take this.
Okay, that looks pretty good.
Okay, material app. I don't. Oh, I see. You already put it.
I got that far, but you got farther.
Well, I pulled the copy paste machine here. I presume this replaces this.
Right? Okay, so then we should just move this to.
Like I can't imagine you can have. I don't think you can have both. I don't know. Maybe it's telling us that in an error. We'll see.
Okay. So then if the settings names.
Well, but this is main page a route? I don't think so. I think this thing returns routes.
Oh, I see.
Figure out what that is.
Okay.
It's a page route.
And the builder just returns the page. Page.
Yep, widget is a widget builder.
Aren't we all a widget builder? Too many returns. That's why it's mad. Okay. We want the same thing for stats, right?
Yep.
Page doesn't take any input.
Mm-hmm.
We then we just test this out, see if we got.
Yeah, totally. I like base case. I see. This is like unknown. They have some sort of unknown screen, but that could just be main page or whatever. Oh, whoa! Because everything's a widget.
Everything's a widget. I got the bumper sticker.
Do you actually have the bumper sticker?
No, but I wish I did.
We clearly need the bumper sticker. Okay, let's see if it actually. Yeah, it looks like it's got an error. Unexpected identifier. Oh, yeah, because these things presumably are gone.
Oh, okay. It's always a good feeling when it reformats your code, because that means it like accepted your syntax at some level of detail.
All right, so like if we do foo here, unknown.
Unknown. I did it.
With the unstyled text styling.
The unstyled text styling is brilliant.
I also love how the unknown flies in from below.
It's got cool animations. Why not?
Oh, this system. Cool. Okay, great. So this works.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I like the idea of having like maybe a board, there, so that we could maybe have something else in our namespace at some point.
That's legit.
Board.
Okay.
And this isn't main page. This is board page.
Board page? Well, I think it's gonna be like a welcome page or something, right? Like.
Oh, I see. That one will be.
Yeah, I feel like we have opportunity to like have a welcome page, right?
What I'm saying is that this is going to end up being the same.
This is going to end up being board page, right?
Does the server get passed here? Like the server, we're getting into like state management here.
I think the server, yeah, because what's going to happen is the right now when we generate a next board, we're just going to want to basically push the route that is the name of the board, and then when the board page inflates, it's going to want to then go look up that ID.
Okay.
Right now we have the like generate me a random board and also look up the board operation fused together.
Yep.
We're going to want to separate them.
Okay. Well, we don't actually generate a random board per se. We select from the existing known board indices and pull one. We don't like generate a board ID. This will actually be a separate operation looking up the.
Okay.
But okay, this is all fine.
I feel like we don't need
the settings.name?
That's where we're getting this path to work with.
Why is it upset? String question mark.
Oh, it's like a nullability thing?
Oh, I see. The name could be empty or something? So this is like string path? Something like that? String name? Yes, I think it's a nullability thing. I think this example that we pulled from, there's a website somewhere had not been nullabilitied.
Mm.
Okay.
So do you need your...
What do we do in that case? We do an unknown?
Yeah. Name is null.
Class unknown.
You're going to make an unknown page?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
It can be terrible, but
it's not as exciting as my like 404.
I mean, I could keep your 404 handling. I'm just turning it into something that is more easily typed twice.
Well, we only need to type it once, but it's cool.
Oh, I was going to early return, but sure. Okay. That's fine.
Okay, so now we need to make main page and board page do their thing.
Yeah, main page is going to end up getting refactored here. So what is this thing? Why is it stateful? What state does it need to hold? Oh, it holds the game state. Yeah, the title doesn't make any sense. It's also not clear. I think when we try and apply some visual design, we're not necessarily going to have that title in there.
No. All right, I'm going to put it down here so it's together with its state. It got the server kind of snuck in between the widget and the state here.
The title's gone. The server snuck in between. The server should just get pulled out.
Maybe this should just be board page, and you can have a null ID. In which case, it'll generate a random ID for you.
It should just be board page, and it should have a...
Is ID a string? Oops.
Sorry.
Something amazing happened.
I removed... Sorry, I'm doing something that I shouldn't do, which is refactoring in the middle of another change. Don't do this at home, kids. Not how good engineering works. Okay, I have lost you. No problem. There you are. Typing away at board page. Yeah, main page is just a board page.
Okay.
We can also do some like welcoming and whatever, but it's just a board page with an optional ID exactly as you express.
Okay, cool.
And I think we find out what the ID is, and that's maybe when we set the URL. Well, we'll get to that.
Well, I think that's actually not quite right. I think the we never want to actually show the slash page, right? Because as soon as you go to the slash page, we want to generate a board ID for you and then change your URL to be the board page.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the main page is like a redirect almost.
Okay.
So let's
yeah, we can code them separate and we can refactor. We can fix it later. What you're saying, sorry. So let's code up the board page, stealing from the main page as necessary.
Okay.
I see. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So
why don't we start just assuming that we're given an ID, right? And then let's work from there.
Okay.
And then we can try to get back to there. So how do we get?
We have to load it from the server.
Game state. Oh, so this is also confusing, right? This initial loading of the game state, this belongs in the initial board. Like, what if the ID that we have doesn't match our game state? We need to
Well, the ID causes you to have the game state is just the board plus junks saved off the side.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't have called it game state. I should have just called it game. But whenever you get a new ID, you reset the game state to whatever that game. The reason why I created game state was so that when I saved it out, I tied the data together because I didn't want to end up writing down the like found words separately from the board ID and then forgetting in some part of the code to reset one and not the other.
Yeah, I'm just worried about this case, right? Like, if our save game is not equal to the ID that we've been told to display.
Well, this is all in this, the save game stuff and all that is all in this main page. Oh, I see. I think that if you ignore the save, if you are given a board ID, you are ignoring and it doesn't match. What do you do? Then you just save over?
I think what we're doing is we're changing our storage model. Instead of storing the game state in the shared preferences, we're going to store the game state in the URL. And I think we can actually get the full game state stored in the URL over time.
I'm sure we could get the full game state stored, but I'm not sure you want that. The URL represents what you want to, like you want to be able to copy and paste it to someone else, and I don't think it should come with your game state.
I see.
I don't think it should come with your found words.
Okay.
I think if you go to a new board ID, you lose your state, period.
Okay, so then we should just return here. Is there a way to clear your game state? Or do you say?
There is. I mean, anytime you hit save.
So we just do this. It says, if you, that makes sense. If the save game I had was for a different board, then I can't use it. Otherwise, I get to adopt it.
Yep. Well, you need to still get that board, and if you have a valid widget ID, you need to try and here. Let me just write it out. So, if widget ID, attempt to get that board. If you got that board, load it, clear existing state. If you failed to get that board, what? Show a message? Show a message, load new board.
So you're saying here what I need to do is I need to talk to the server and load, like, is there a way to manufacture game states? I see.
You just do game state from board or something like that. Right here.
So I need to say, okay, so I need to say widget.server.get board, the
like widget ID. Yep.
Yeah. And then set my.
And if that fails.
If that fails. So you're saying that this could be null at this point?
Yeah, or throw an exception depending on how we define it, but sure. Null would be fine.
I'll do something.
Yep. Well, that's what we wrote up here, right? And we.
Yeah, I'm trying to turn your comments into code here.
And this is how I code. I read it all out in comments first. Then I make the comments real.
What I want to do is just reverse this. The simple case is that we loaded our save game, and we're done.
Okay.
The more complicated case is now we have to go get the board.
Yeah. Early return pattern. So this is not right here.
Is that right?
Well, if we were past a widget ID, we're loading that, right? So the widget, I think the widget ID wins. Otherwise, if you get directed to the URL that you got from Twitter, you will just keep loading your same game instead of loading the new URL from Twitter.
If save game equals none, we just don't want to do this, right?
That's later. Like we don't even need to try and load the save game if we have a widget ID and we're able to get that.
Well, won't we have a widget ID? Like if you're just playing the game, right? The URL bar is gonna have your widget ID, then you hit reload. Then you want to load your save state.
Yeah, we should talk about like what does the URL contain. I think the basic URL I was going for here as like a first pass would be the URL just contains the board ID.
Yep.
And so whenever you go to a different board ID, it changes your URL. As you said, you can like never be at the root.
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm not thinking through. Like I open up my browser and I paste in this URL and I hit enter.
Yes. And go ahead.
What I would expect it to do is try to load my save game. If my save game matches the ID that I'm loaded up, then cool. I've now restored my save game.
Oh, otherwise, I see.
Yeah, so this is logic isn't quite correct. This is like if the save game is not null and the save game matches the board that we're looking at, then we won the prize. We got to restore our save game. Otherwise, we don't have save state for this game. We need to go make new state by looking up the board and stuff.
Sure. There's another case in here.
I had the same problem when I did like push state and pop state on the web. Is you always have to like think backwards because you're like, okay, I've arrived at this crazy state. What was I doing here?
There's a question of what do you do when you have a saved game and invalid widget ID?
When the
like
what do you
network? Well, that's a I don't need to throw in the third case there, but if you
I think it's okay, right? Because you can check that your save game matches your widget ID. Then you don't need to talk to the internet. You're all good. You only need to talk to the internet in the case where you don't have the state for it.
Well, let's say you talk to the internet and the internet says, sorry, that board ID does not exist. Invalid URL.
That's this here.
Yeah. What do you do in that case?
I think you just want to show a widget that says like 404, sorry, invalid board.
I see.
And then there's a button that's like, give me a new one and stuff. Okay. So I think in this case, like we should expect the game to be null.
Okay.
We can handle that in our build function, what we want to do when the game is null.
Yeah, you also could have a case where it's like you go back to your saved game, but yeah, that's fine.
I don't think we need set states here because these are inside init state. Is initial load called anywhere else?
It is, but init state will be done.
Oh, I see, because it's asynchronous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit cheating here to do this, that you call an async method and you don't listen for its return. But it's how...
So as done right now, we'll have like a loading screen, right? So we'll need to somehow signal that the loading was complete and was bad. So like we want to set state the game to like the game state error.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay. All right. That looks reasonable. Shall we code up? I mean, this one's easy. I assume.
Yeah, seems reasonable.
Can't be null, right? Or dart. return. I don't know like how these compare.
We don't have to create invalid board. We could have a separate like field in our state for this.
It's a little weird. Like, why are we even? Yeah, this feels weird.
Yeah, so maybe that's not right.
Why don't we just leave it null? We don't even need to set state. We just like set state. Whatever, load failed. This feels like an enum. This is like a state machine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we need a state machine for what state we're in. And the states are loading, playing, not found.
Okay.
Status.
Okay.
Page status.
Sure.
I guess it starts out in the. What do you see?
We call it board status.
Board page status.
Not found. Okay, great. Sold. That's that not. Are the pandas sad?
My camels are too strong.
Oh. String cannot be assigned. Oh, we're still on this thing. Setting name. Oh, I see. This needs to be. Why not? We just confirmed that it was not null.
Oh, it's this thing where because it's a object getter, it doesn't know that it's the same thing. You have to
yeah.
put it in a local so it knows that nobody else messed with it.
But we need it to be like. We need it to be nullable. Okay, great. Parameter ID is required, but missing from board page. So we're not, this is like. All
right, so I think we should create a new.
Okay, new page. We'll make it work here in a minute. Oh, This is board page. We're doing some serious surgery here. Main page. Okay, great. Unexpected text. Do enums not get?
I don't know. Too many semicolons, not enough semicolons. Whatever the compiler wants.
Okay, so. Oops. Main page. I mean, that's not right, but.
I think it's going to have to be a stateful widget because on the init state method, you're going to want to ask the server to get you an ID to go look at.
In fact, I think there's like a. Show me the magic.
Go, light bulb, go.
Okay. So theoretically that works, except this needs to be. I love that required is now a real, a real keyword in Dart. Which bit says loaded? Oh, insufficient. I need to be stronger in my camels.
No, sorry, it's playing, not loaded.
Get board.
Yeah, so we need to implement get board.
Unused, convert. Oh. I bet these got moved into server.
Oh, you moved server to its own file?
I did, which was, as I said, I like violated the don't refactor while you're. But it's okay. Life will go on. Import.
I love the way Eric codes. So like, Eric writes his dream code, like how he wants it to work, and then he goes and just fixes all the compile errors.
Yes.
And then by some like inductive property of coding, he then arrives at a working code that does what he wants. It's like a beautiful thing to watch.
I've learned through this series that my like concentration level for coding is quite high. Like I can get a lot done in like a quiet room with like flow time, but I have a lot of trouble without, which I think is why I don't really code anymore. Because my job as a manager is to like talk to people and be interrupted nonstop and hopefully not interrupt everyone else, although I fear I do that all the time.
I've started sorting my days. So like today, literally from 9:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon, every half hour with a break for lunch, I had a meeting with a different person. But then tomorrow, I have my entire afternoon blocked off to actually go write some code. But trying to mix the two, like in the same day, is just like impossible.
By the inductive power of coding. No, it probably doesn't work because I know I stubbed out like the main page, for example.
Okay. And did you do get board? Oh, get board. Okay.
All right. So that's in server here, right? So this needs some thinking. Future board, get board, string ID.
Yeah, so I think we want basically two methods. We also, instead of next board, we want to get like next generate ID that gives you back the ID.
What do you mean generate ID?
Well, let's say you just land on the page on slash. It needs to make up a board ID for you.
Oh, I think next board does exactly that.
I see. You get the whole board and then you just read its ID. That's fine.
Yeah. So, okay, we need the manifest.
Okay, I can spam out the main page now while you're doing that. I have enough information to do it.
And I can figure out how I intended the manifest to be used. Okay. Okay. Do we ever expose chunk headers? We might want to. Yeah, that's lame. Have you initialized a null in Dart? I think so.
I think just the default initialization is null.
Let's see if that works. Or We really should be caching these chunks. Maybe.
So let's see. I see find chunk for board ID. Fetch the JSON. Oh, you just have to walk through the chunk. There's no. Well, I think caching the chunks is probably not a great idea because they're so sparse. Like any random board you get next will.
I guess the browser might do that for me.
Yeah, I guess you just fetched it in get board, right? So it'll be hot.
Well, but I might not use that same chunk ever again. So if I make this async, this should compile. Well, I need to do find chunk, which should be straightforward to write. Yes, this is how I code. You do some of this too. Those are your arrows.
Oh, I finished typing it. I don't know if it's. You can look at what I did and see if it.
Conditional argument. Expected. Get board. Is this supposed to have an ID?
Oh, sorry. This is supposed to be next board. Okay. I think this is right. So I asked for the next board, and then I pushed the route with its ID.
This feels like
maybe there's no colon here.
Well, but this also feels like a side effect. This doesn't feel like it belongs here. Like initial load should just call next board, maybe? And next board should do that? Should do this dance?
I have to push. I have to do something with the navigator to get the URL to change, right?
But whenever you click the next board button, it should change the URL too. I'm saying that this method manually modifying the navigator seems wrong. Somebody else should be doing that as a side effect of the next boardness.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so there's a next board method that maybe is just these two things copied in there.
Yeah, it's a little different because the first time you want to do a replacement operation, I don't know if there's a replace.
Well, but what do you want to do in the, like, you might want to replace in normal times too.
I see. You don't want the back button to ever work?
Well, I don't know. I think that if you're in a browser, the back button should not take you to the previous board. That would feel weird. Right? Because then you play 5 of them and you're like, oh my goodness, get me out of here. But on Android, back button, you might expect the back button to, I don't know.
Okay, so you're saying these two lines combined should be a function.
Yeah, I think those are just the next board. Like there literally is a next board function somewhere. Next board, this. Right?
Well, kind of, but get next board is yes, that's true.
Okay. I'm continuing to fix errors. You can tell me I'm wrong. I may very well be wrong. I'm going to keep it running manifest here.
I think you're right. I'm just not entirely sure how to share the code because the code is identical for those two.
Why can it not be shared?
Because it's on different widgets. One of them is on this like main page widget that doesn't have any UI.
Oh, I see.
But it does feel a little bit redundant.
Well, do they both need to derive from some kind of widget, or have a mix-in, or like have a helper?
Um,
I'm only half paying attention to you because I'm writing this chunk into board ID.
yeah.
But I'm happy to put this down and come talk to you.
No, let's focus on what you're doing. What you're doing looks quite interesting.
So I have to find the. So we have all these chunk headers.
Mhm.
I don't know if they're sorted, but we'll pretend they are for the moment. And they have a first and last board ID in them. And I want to find the header that like the first and last should be alphabetically sorted.
Hmm.
Right. So this should be.
So you want like a lexical comparison of some sort?
Sure. If header dot last is less than board ID.
Whoa.
Can you?
Do strings have a less than operator in Dart?
I have no idea.
I can research that.
Isn't defined for the type string. The analyzer is explaining this to us. How do you lexically compare strings?
Oh, compare to.
Just compare two words?
Yeah. So it'll give you back an integer, 0 when the strings are equal, 1 when the first string is greater than the second, and -1 when the first string is smaller than the second.
I take it the compare operator is just a foot gun or something?
I don't know. Like, it sounds cool to overload the operator. I have no idea why. I'm sure this is the kind of thing that like language experts will debate endlessly and have some opinion about why it should be one way or another.
Is less than 0? I don't know which it is.
-1 is when the first string is smaller than the second. Is last inclusive or exclusive?
It is inclusive.
So then you want less than or equal to 0.
Clearly needs to be unit tested. What did it say?
Oh, I see. You're saying you want to go to the next chunk.
I'm just trying to find the chunk. So
then you want to be greater, right? If the I see.
Yeah. So otherwise, we're going to if header dot first is return header dot oh, really? Oh, so we have to figure out what the index of this chunk is? Okay, that's a little weird. What is the chunk? Does the chunk header have the index in it? Oh, it does. Okay.
I love your squeaky mouse.
Yeah, sorry about my squeaky mouse. Maybe I want this to be chunk index. I don't know. I'm not sure I did this right. Chunk. And that should be it.
I think your comparisons are not quite right, but let's reason through it here. So last is the lexically greatest name in here. So if the board is beyond the last, if the board is beyond the last, then keep going.
Yes.
So this should always be true, right? When you get here.
It should be.
Unless you don't have it.
You have like an invalid board or something like that. It's also very possible that you can get this back and it's not going to. I'm assuming that board ID is garbage.
Right. Okay, so let's think about this.
This really needs to be unit tested. I don't know if we have time to write those, but
first. If this is too small, then you got to keep going. If the first is okay, this seems reasonable. So this can return null. So this needs to have a question mark here.
Okay. I don't know if we have time for this, but absolutely, this is the kind of thing you write unit tests for. Because it's very easy to write unit tests for, and it.
Yeah, and like the probability of getting these greater than or equals to.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Work out.
It'll just save your bacon. Because you'll never hit all the cases, right? And you need to test the garbage case and the null case and yada yada yada. Let's see if we can get this thing to limp in our remaining 7 minutes. I'm not feeling confident that we're going to push today, but missing concrete implementation of server get board. Oh, that's fine. Where is it? Show me the. Ta-da! I love that. The light bulb is so good.
So first, where can this return null?
Yes, potentially.
Okay. So why doesn't it?
No, it cannot.
Yeah.
What?
So what does it do if it's not there?
Defaults to throwing a state error. Ugh. Okay, so first where is not what we want. I mean, I had assumed that this returned null, but it does not.
Maybe we need to.
Maybe any is what we want. Oh, that just returns a bool. I thought there was a null version of this, but maybe not.
We can just write the loop, I guess, if we're reaching for the right thing on iterable.
Yep. Loop is simple. Board for our chunk. This is what I started to write. If what is it? What are we doing? If board.id is equal to id, return board. Otherwise, we are return null.
Looks legit.
Legit.
No analyzer errors, no bugs. It's gonna work perfectly.
No bugs.
I think the greatest chance is that we messed up the inequality operators on the strings.
Okay, so what is this even doing?
Loading.
Besides loading. Did you code up the loading?
Oh, but it didn't show up in the URL. Maybe I messed up the like it's clearly.
Did we ever implement them? You implemented main page, right?
Yeah, the main page starts out with a hugely ugly loading page, and then it's dropped us onto the board page.
But it didn't do push replacement named?
It must have, right? Because it got to the other route.
Why
don't we add some logging? Or
okay, what do you want to log?
Debugger.
What are these debugger things? Prettier.
In the initial load for the board page, I want to see if we're getting a reasonable ID. Yeah, like right there. What's going on? I mean, this is the function I want to debug, so maybe set a breakpoint here.
You're assuming that I have any idea how to debug. This is, we think, widget.id?
That should be widget.id, yeah. More semicolons.
More.
The semicolons will continue until morale improves.
The loading will continue until morale improves. Okay. What do we got? Board page. T.
That looks
That looks totally legit.
Legit?
Why is it not? We have a lot of to-dos. This class is marked immutable. Instant fields. Oh.
Maybe our build function is messed up?
Build function for... Well, I don't understand why the URL isn't changing.
So that's one question. Another question is why the board isn't displaying. So I feel like here we want to...
well, that to me feels like...
This.
I see. Get body. Oh, that's cute.
Figure what our statuses are called. Loading. Turn.
Yep. This is the part we had to update it to be state machine.
Oops. I totally lost the place I was editing. Playing.
495. Yeah.
What was this one? It was we're gonna eventually want this for the sake of simplicity here. This.
Why does it think that null can be returned here? Does Dart not know about switch statements?
Here?
I'm not sure. Now I think it thinks it's dead code. Unclear. Dead code, yes. All right.
Oh, I agree, it's dead code.
You can't have it both ways, Dart.
Either it's non-null or it's dead.
All right. I think we're in the working. Okay, status not found.
Okay, so it's the not found. So our lookup by ID is not working.
Of course not. Why is it doing lookup by ID?
Because we're driving it through the navigator. So we first get the board, get its ID, then we give that to the navigator.
But why?
Because that's how you do these things.
Oh. I see what so your push replacement named. So I see. So this next board is really, this is why you wanted next board ID.
Yeah, we just try push named. That's going to be simpler for now. Like maybe we don't understand how replacements work.
Okay.
But we still need to solve the problem that we got a reasonable looking ID, but we weren't able to actually find it from the server.
Oh. Status not found. All right, so that's this whatever crazy manifest code that I wrote, or this thing. The get board, right? So ensure manifest, find chunk for board ID, chunk name.
We're going to keep printf debugging it.
We can try
debugging for victory.
We can try. I just don't really know how to use the debugger. Been a long time, been a long time, been a lonely. Okay. This is the bugger.
Oh yeah, we're totally here. Look at this. Locals, we got a decent ID.
Yeah.
Should we step into this thing?
We can also just step over it. We can always load it again. Or what do we get? Chunk name.
Oh, we found something. Board 02. That's suspiciously small number. For I.
Be. Oh, I see. You're right.
Yeah, I think that the find chunk for board ID is giving us the wrong.
Okay. Well, I reloaded it. It should break there again. Why did it not? There we go. All right, so you want to step in. Step in. Show me the money. Okay.
Okay, so now we got some P.
So what?
The board ID starts with a P.
Mm-hmm.
So can you print out header dot first? Yeah, first is A. Okay. Continue. Okay.
Okay.
Board count 100.
Whoa. That seems weird. Okay. So these are not as sorted as I thought they were. They're not sorted by first ID. Yeah.
I mean, P falls between E and R.
But so the problem is that I probably sort the boards by, in fact, I know I do this. So I sort the boards by their letter strings, and then I generate one board for each possible letter. And then now the IDs are then out of sort order.
So it's sorted by like the golden pangram word inside the board.
It is sorted by the golden letter, but this is just wrong. This code is wrong, and so this could work if we change the board ID function to be. So I don't know what this would. No.
Don't we just have to resort how we're chunking the boards?
Yeah, I have to rerun the chunker. If we just do this.
Oh.
I don't know what consequences that will be. That won't help because I'd have to rerun the chunker. I think we're going to realize that we're out of time in order to save this tonight because we're already 5 minutes over showtime.
That's fine. I feel like we made a lot of good progress. Like I think we've reduced it to now just needing to get our data files sorted in a reasonable way, and then I think it would actually, I don't know, have a good chance at working.
Yeah, I may futz with this and fix it because I think we are close. And then maybe next week I think we'll see how much time I have this weekend. I may or may not, but I think it'd be fun to fix it and then tweet out a board that you could play.
The community challenge board, post your high scores. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I think being able to link to boards is really powerful. Like I think it's
I mean, this is the web. This is why we're doing the whole thing on the web, right? And then it'll be fun next week to maybe add some other socially kind of features. We'll see. It's remarkable how long this took us to add. I mean, how long? It took us an hour, right? But like how long it took us to add the URL stuff.
Well, it's part of the we have no idea what we're doing, right? We're fumbling around in the dark. But that's the fun of it for me. I don't know.
Yes, here we go. We haven't shown this in a while, but it remains true. So, anyways, Dr. Barth, it was a pleasure as always to see you. You have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.